Hello and welcome to the third Rugby Quebec Laws mini course. Today we'll be talking about referee signals as well as our whistle tones. So there's four types of signals. Three of them will be given by the referee and one by the assistant referee. So the three that we will primarily see on the field are the primary signals. That's the first signal that a referee will make. And it basically explains why we blew the whistle, and it will show you how play will be restarted. So an example of that is a scrum signal or a penalty signal, free kick. After a primary signal, you will usually get a secondary signal, so it will always be after a primary signal. It tells you what the infringement was for, and it's only given if there's enough time to do it. So in 15s, most of the time you'll get a secondary signal. Sometimes in 7s, you just don't have enough time and you won't see it. So that's more common in 7s, but in 15s we try. And then the other signals. So these are starting and stopping the time and giving signals to the sideline if there's substitutions required or injuries. Blood sub is pretty common for this, or time on and time off. Lastly are the assistant referee signals. So these are signals that are done with a flag. So over the next few slides, we're just going to show you images of all the different types of signals that are available to us. Not all of them will necessarily be used, and I'd welcome you to pause the video because we're going to go through these pretty quickly. So pause the video if there's any of them that you'd like to see and take a longer look at. So in the primary signals, the most common ones we'll have are scrum, advantage, penalty, try and try. Occasionally you'll have no try signals in 22s, but not super often. These are the secondary signals that will result in a free kick being given, or they'll be shown after a free kick. Typically it's closing the gap in the line out. So it's technical infringements at set piece most of the time, so scrum and line out, that happen before the ball's put in. It's rare to get a free kick once the ball's been returned to play. These are the secondary signals that result in a scrum, so knock-ons and forward passes are very, very common, as well as you might have not straight at the line out or unplayable in the maul. These are following a penalty for foul play and open play infringements. So if you watched our first video in the laws presentations, the high tackle is very much more common now. And hopefully you know the high tackle framework after that video. And hopefully you don't get to see too many of these shown, especially the punching, stabbing, and dissent in games that you're involved in. These are set piece penalties, so line out and scrum. Offsides, intentional collapses, props pulling down, so collapsing scrums. These are all the more common ones that you'll see in this category. At the tackle and ruck, you'll see a lot of ball carrier not releasing, off feet, so diving to the ground, and the tackle not releasing the tackled player properly. You'll also get a little bit of side entry and hands, but less so these days. For the other signals, you don't tend to see a lot of this in our game. Most of the time you'll see the start, stop, so the time on, time off signals. You might see a couple referees who use the bleeding wound signal, but it would be nice if everyone who's watching this video could learn this signal as well, because it's something that can be used more often. The one that we'll almost never see outside of the TV is the TMO signal. Most of us don't get a chance to use that either. So the assistant referee only actually has 3 signals. These are all 3 of them. So for foul play, you stick your flag out. For a kick at goal, you put your flag up. And for touch, you put your flag up. If you're running touch on a Saturday at one of your club games, you should not be doing anything else with the flag other than these 3 signals. So we had a few questions come in, and there's some really good ones here. So the first one is, what happens if there's no secondary signal for the penalty or referee calls? And in this situation, we just keep playing. So there could be a quick tap and the referee doesn't have a chance to show you secondary. This is typically what happens. If that's the case, just make sure you're back 10 if you're on defense, and continue playing. And then at the next stoppage, if you're really unsure of what happened, have your captain or speak to the referee, or just ask politely, and the referee will almost always be more than happy to explain it to you. The second one is, why do different referees use different secondary signals for the same penalty? So that's a little bit of individualism and how the referees like to present themselves and how they were taught and how they like to do their signals. So the fun thing with referees in rugby specifically is that we're given kind of permission to be our own selves on the field, and that comes across in whistle tone and secondary signals primarily, and also in the way we might speak to players and address ourselves on the field. So that's kind of a nice little thing that we get as referees that some other sports might not get. Can the same secondary signal be used to indicate different penalties? There are a few, as you've seen in the images. Collapsing a maul, advantage in a scrum is the same arm signal. And a scrum would come with a whistle as well. Collapsing a maul, collapsing a scrum is about the same signals. There's a lot of foul play signals that are all wrapped into one signal or another that you might see. So striking, punching, hitting, tackling a player off the ball. It goes with shoulder charges sometimes as well. So yes, there can be. The last one, I really like this one because I'll be able to explain a lot with it as well, is the whistle also used as a way of signaling the type of infringement? So typically a short whistle tone that it might be loud, it might not be loud, indicates just a less important, a technical stoppage of the game. So usually that's for a scrum infringement, or time off or time on. It'll be a short whistle. You just stop play, and there's nothing much to worry about. A longer or more aggressive whistle will typically, a longer and more aggressive whistle, in fact, will typically be for a penalty. So you know that if you're being penalized, you should get back 10 immediately. We have happier whistles, which hopefully is for a try or the start of the game or the end of a game. So yes, our whistle does indicate a lot of things, and usually you'll be able to figure that out within the first 5 minutes of a game on how the referee whistles on that particular game. And if you know their scrum whistle and their penalty whistle, you should be pretty good to understand what's happening in the game, even if you don't see the referee. So thank you for watching the video. The quiz will be consisting of myself and James giving you some referee signals and you guys guessing what we're doing. So hopefully you enjoy that. We'll look forward to your comments in that video. And hopefully we'll see you next month for the Scrum Laws course. And don't forget to send your questions to the email on the screen.